I'm going to prep and stain this door, and the homeowner is going to prep and stain the other door. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to do this. I've got 80 grit sandpaper. I'm just going to take off any rough edges, because they're usually along the edge here. Just take off any bumps, splinters, rough edges, saw cuts, things like that. Here, this is 320 grit. And we're going to use that on the face of the door. We're just wiping it as though you were cleaning it. Just very lightly. We're going to go over it. And this is just going to take off very light bumps. We're going to use a piece of cheesecloth, and it gets all of that stuff off. Make sure you don't leave the flyaways on there. Now the first step is to add a pre-stain. It's also called wood conditioner. You could also use shellac. This is going to prepare the wood to accept the stain. You don't want to use one of those big fat rollers that you paint your walls with. I like to do full strokes, and you don't want to glop it on. You don't want this stuff running real heavy. Light coats, that's all you need. And you don't need multiple coats, just one light coat on here is all it takes. It's been about an hour and this is dry. There are little bumps here and there. We're not trying to sand this off. We're not going to go real hard. We're just going to wipe it like we're cleaning it or polishing furniture. Just that light. This is 320 grit. Give it a good wipe. Don't just dust it. Now we're ready to apply the stain. So you're going to use a fresh roller, same thing, just slightly dampened. I bought these staining pads, a little easier, a little nicer. So we're going to roll on the stain over the door, and then we're going to wipe it off in full strokes, top to bottom. Make sure you have enough on there. Most door manufacturers will void the warranty of a door that's colored black because the door could warp. This has a storm door in front of it, so it's not going to get pelted by rain. And it also has a large awning above it, so it's not going to get hit by the sun. But if your door was facing the sun or heavy weather, you wouldn't want to color it black. Now, some people will apply the stain with the stain pad. I like to put it on the roller. It's faster, it's easier. But I'm going to wet my stain pad with some stain, just a little bit. And then I want to wipe it off from top to bottom or bottom to top in one stroke. Now I'm pushing the stain into the wood. You're also revealing the grain of the wood. And you could do multiple coats on this if you want to go darker, but this is the procedure for each coat. Now I flip the pad over if it gets too wet. If you go with a water-based stain, it could take an hour to dry, and you could do some more. This is an oil-based stain, so we're just gonna let this sit overnight, and we'll hit it again in the morning. We're back, day 2. Everything has dried. You don't have to do this step, but it'll look really nice if you do. 320 grit paper again. Again, take your cheesecloth or a damp rag and wipe that stuff off. It's best to get a spar urethane. Any clear coat could work, but spar is going to be the toughest, and we're using a water-based. When your door is protected like this one is, it's going to work just fine. This is different. It doesn't have the fabric. It's foam, and this is going to give us a real smooth fit. You want to get nice coverage without having it all run down your door. Now that we have this all covered, you can see there are air bubbles in there. Just take a brush. It doesn't have to be real expensive. And just lightly drag it on there to take out those air bubbles. You don't need to dip your brush. Drag it over those air bubbles to smooth it out. Now, once that first coat is done, just wrap all your stuff up in a plastic bag, and we'll give it some time. When it's dry enough, we'll put on another coat. We've waited about 45 minutes. Feel this thing, it's nice and dry. You might have to wait a half hour. You might have to wait 2 hours. You could wait till the next day if you want. Feel how smooth it is. If you're happy with it, just put a second coat of clear coat on it. But if you want to go for the super nice finish, hit it with your 300 again, same thing. The cheesecloth again. Second coat goes on just like the first, and you'll find that the subsequent coats go on easier because it's not as dry, and you are building layers of protection. We're going to do this one thin layer at a time. And once you're done, don't run away. Keep an eye on them. Check them every few minutes because you might see little drips, drops here and there. Just brush them out. And now we're done. We got our 2 coats on. We got our locks back in. At this point, you can do as many coats as you want as long as you let them dry between coats. Then moving forward, keep an eye on your door. Check it each year before the rain starts, around Thanksgiving. If it looks a little dry, if it looks a little warm, give it a light sanding, put on another coat or 2 coats of clear coat. If you do that, your door will last a lifetime. This took us 2 sessions. Each session was about 2 to 3 hours. You can do this too.